What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I am Sid the Nerdy Mark, and welcome to another episode of What's Your Fantasy? So, as you know, What's Your Fantasy is my fantasy booking series on this channel. Now, I've done one in the past, about a couple of months ago. I did for Adam Cole, Bray and AEW. Funny thing is, they did the exact opposite of what I booked. So they're probably going to do the exact same for this one. You know, it's basically, I guess, then a what if, you know? Except I can't call it what if because I like Marvel too much and I don't want them to sue me. Look at me. I have a Daredevil bobblehead. That means I'm a Marvel super fan. Anyway, but today's video is going to focus on one eater of worlds, the host of Firefly Funhouse, the Fiend himself, Bray Wyatt, also known as Windham Rotunda. So I put up a poll earlier in the week and I asked about where you would like to see Windham Rotunda end up post his WWE career. And a lot of you did say AEW, as I predicted actually. And good choice because that's where I was gonna put him in anyway. So, but yes, we are looking at Windham in AEW and how he should debut, what his first feud should be and whatnot. But before we can do that, before we can get into fantasy, let's get into Windham in reality. So let's talk about Windham in reality. Now, I'm not going to talk about his entire tenure in WWE, but we will try to summarize it as best as possible. He worked at WWE for 12 years. He first debuted as Husky Harris in NXT, part of Nexus. Then he became Bray Wyatt and formed the Wyatt family along with Braun Strowman, aka Adam Scherr, Eric Rowan, aka Eric Redbeard, and of course the late great Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee, rest in peace. And then after that, he went up to the main roster and got the opportunity to put over some young upstarts such as John Cena, The Undertaker, and Randy Orton. He did get to win the SmackDown Tag Team titles with the Wyatt family, so that was there. Then he also won the WWE Championship and then lost it by, you guessed it, putting over, like I said, young upstart Randy Orton because of this thing. Shortly after, he teamed up with Woken Matt Hardy. He feuded with Woken Matt Hardy, their WWE's version of the Broken gimmick, and he then had, you know, a decent feud, and then he also became a tag team called the Deleter of Worlds along with Matt Hardy, and they actually won the Raw Tag Team Championships for a little bit and had an entertaining feud with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, known as the B Team at that point. And then after that, Matt Hardy left to get surgery. Bray Wyatt left to get repackaged. And when he got repackaged, it was literally the best thing creatively that Bray Wyatt ever did in WWE. And that was the Firefly Funhouse match. The Firefly Funhouse, we'll talk about the match in a minute. But the Firefly Funhouse, man, when I saw it, I was blown away. I could sit here and talk about it all day, but we're not going to. It was good. It was great. I loved it, you know. And then he introduced us to the Fiend, who was basically like if Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal and the Joker had a test tube baby and Freddy Krueger haunted its dreams, that would be the Fiend. Like literally, imagine waking up and seeing this. Like, yeah. Anyway, the Fiend was great. He won the Universal title from Seth Rollins and then lost it by putting over young upstart Bill Goldberg. I was a fan once. After that, though, he completely destroyed John Cena in probably the best thing to happen in recent WWE so far, and that is the Firefly Funhouse match. I absolutely adore that match. Very, very much, and I don't know why they didn't let him do more of it. But anyway, well, how could they? Because, you know, that he feuded with Braun Strowman over the Universal title again, and then, Roman Reigns came in, turned heel, and completely just took over that match. And then, after that, he feuded with Randy Orton for a little bit, became a power couple with Alexa Bliss, and then he lost to him at WrestleMania 37, and on July 31st, he unfortunately got fired. So there you go. That's your lot. That's what happened in real life. Now, ever since he did get released, though, he's been putting out a lot of cryptic posts on social media. He put out this tweet that said, "You can't kill it," with, kind of like looks like the inside of the Fiend mask. He then recently said that, had a tweet with the picture of the Fiend that said, "Don't worry, I'll feed you baby birds," or something like that. You can see it right there. At the time of me recording this video, his 90-day no-compete clause is finally up, so he is officially a free agent now. And obviously, I do think that the right move is AEW, and I'll tell you why. This is my fantasy. Now, I am going to talk about a few admin things before we get into the booking proper. First things first, I am making the assumption that Bray/Windham has the rights to the Firefly Funhouse and all the characters, including the Fiend and the puppets, minus the Vince puppet, and I'll talk about that in just a second. A lot of people also wanted Windham to feud or have some sort of story with the Dark Order, and I can see that, and I can totally understand why you would want that, but it's also been stated in multiple occasions that the Dark Order do not want anyone to replace Brody Lee as their leader. So I am going to respect their wishes, and I'm going to book something a little different. What I want to do is a feud that was almost there for Bray in WWE that I think Windham can do much better here in AEW, and that is Broken Matt Hardy. Now, the feud in WWE was okay. Like, it culminated in the Ultimate Deletion, which in one of my reviews I said was a beautiful disaster, and I still stand by that. Okay, it was just crazy, balls to the wall, bonkers fun, dude. It was absolutely ludicrous. No, not him. Although I do use the title of one of his songs as the title of this series. But anyway, the match was really good, but the build-up to it was dumb, honestly, because it was just two guys maniacally laughing at each other. They're both possessed by some spirit, and so they're just laughing at each other for the entire promo. Like, guys, these are two of your best talkers on your company, and you're not gonna let them talk? Like, what are you doing? So, no maniacal laughing. Well, some maniacal laughing, but not nearly as much as in WWE. But I'm gonna talk about how we're gonna book Broken Matt Hardy versus Windham in AEW. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, on an episode of Rampage, we do have Matt Hardy scheduled to face off against Orange Cassidy in a no DQ match. However, before that, he does cut a promo backstage on Dynamite where he's going in and out of his broken accent, and he's starting to incorporate more and more of his broken Matt Hardy attire, like the sleeveless trench coat and whatnot. And he shows Private Party and says, "Look how wonderful it looks," and stuff like that, right? You know, the broken stuff. He can do it better than me. But anyway, we do have the match at Rampage, Orange Cassidy versus Matt Hardy again. And in that match, towards the middle of the match, towards the end of the match, the lights flicker out, and when they come back on, the Fiend's screeches, like the screeches that he hears when he comes into the ring, start happening, and the lighting is all red, and Matt Hardy is cupping his ears because he just can't stand it. But finally, the screeches stop and the lights turn normal. But Matt Hardy is just absolutely going crazy, and he does the delete thing again. Then he goes in and he grabs a chair and whacks Orange Cassidy on the back of it, and he places it down there and hits a twist of fate onto the chair. 1, 2, 3. Matt Hardy wins, but then after that he snaps out of the trance. He's like, "Whoa, what's going on? What the hell happened?" And he's kind of almost freaked out, almost horrified at the carnage that has ensued. Towards December's Winter is Coming, a little bit before that, we do have a promo with Matt Hardy. He's in the stage. He's on the stage. He's in the ring, not the stage. He's pissed off. He's like, I want to know who is tormenting me like this. If you have, if you've got the balls, show me your face or whatnot. Lights flicker out again, and on the screen, you see the words, "Winter is coming." So signifying that, of course, the person is going to reveal himself that winter is coming. So it is advertised that Matt Hardy will be facing this mystery opponent at Winter is Coming. So at Winter is Coming, Matt Hardy is dressed up in his broken gear, although he's wondering why. But he's like, whatever, and he just walks into the ring with Private Party, who are doing the shots thing. He's waiting for his opponent, and of course the lights flicker out for about a minute, and then they come back on, and it's just a red light, and you see the Private Party are laying out on the floor. They're passed out. Matt is telling them to, get up. What are you guys okay? And then in the ring, of course, now rolls in Funhouse Windham Rotunda. And of course, Excalibur's like, oh, that's Windham Rotunda, whatever. One of the most demented individuals, or whatever Excalibur says. He'll do a good job, I'm sure. All the while, he's laughing, but he has his hands like this, and he's just laughing. And then the lights are normal again, and Matt Hardy's like, what are you doing here and whatnot. Windham takes out his gloves and he goes, hi Matt, and does that. And of course it's the hurt and heel glove that he's wearing. Cups his ears, and as he's cupping his ears, Matt Hardy attacks Bray Wyatt, who falls to the floor, but then he gets back up. Matt tries to hit him again, but this time Windham grabs Matt Hardy with the hurt glove and hits a Sister Abigail, or whatever it's going to be called, hits the mandible claw with the hurt glove onto Matt Hardy, who passes out. And, Windham does win the match, technically. And then, after the match, though, he takes his heel glove and he places it on Matt's forehead. And, the lights turn red again, and the screeches go for about a minute. And then the lights go out. Lights come back on, and in the ring, Matt Hardy has the red shock streak on his head again. He is fully broken Matt Hardy. He's super pissed, and he does the delete thing like a very, very frantically. And that's how this match ends. So it is the road to AEW Revolution, and Windham finally cuts his first Firefly Funhouse promo on AEW Dynamite. And, basically he says, yowie, wowie, I'm so excited to be here, something like that. And basically, trying to make a point that his reach has gone beyond the confines of hell. You can't say WWE, so he's going to call it hell. And he says, now we're in a new home. This is a new place. These are new faces, but I need a new name. You can all call me Windham. Now, I promise you, we're going to have so much fun here. And he's excited too. You know who I mean. We don't see the Fiend just yet, but we do see, in place of the Vince puppet, we have a Tony Khan puppet, but instead of the devil horns protruding out of Vince's head, the Vince puppet's head, we see a halo like an angel, on the Tony Khan puppet's head. I think that would be hilarious. So the Tony Khan puppet makes a match for AEW Revolution, Matt Hardy versus Windham, and he says to Windham that he can bring his friend along for the ride. And Windham is so happy, he's clapping his hands, yowie, wowie, thanks boss, and he's going over the fact that the history that him and Matt Hardy have together, making hints at the Deleters of Worlds and whatnot. And then we see some static, and broken Matt Hardy has kind of interjected himself into the promo. He's not in the Funhouse, but he's like kind of doing like a split screen kind of promo with Windham. And Matt basically addresses Windham as Samael, asking, what happened? I thought I cleansed and purified your soul. And Windham replies, oh Matt, see man, I tried to be like you. I tried to stop listening to the voices in my head, but the problem is they just came back louder and louder until I finally let them in. And Matt, as you can see, I'm a lot happier. Yes, I did just steal a line from the 1989 Batman movie with Jack Nicholson's Joker. Matt Hardy promises to purify and rid Samael of this evil, of this darkness, and he invites Windham and his friend to the Hardy compound. Windham says, I have a better idea. Why don't you come over to the Firefly Funhouse and come over here and play? The Tony Khan puppet says, why don't you guys do both? So at AEW Revolution, it's going to be the Firefly Deletion. So that's going to be the match going into AEW Revolution. It's going to be Windham versus Matt Hardy in a Firefly Deletion match. So the Firefly Deletion is basically a cinematic match, and it is a wacky affair with crazy hijinks. What I basically wanted to do was take a lot of the elements from the Firefly Funhouse match with John Cena, as well as a lot of the deletion matches that Matt Hardy did on Impact, like the total nonstop deletion, Delete or Decay, Final Deletion, and even Ultimate Deletion, and kind of just have a happy medium between the two. So, just a couple of things here. We do have it starting with Windham in the Hardy compound. They're kind of going at it. Of course, you got to get the fireworks because it's the Hardy compound. Windham is actually visibly scared, and he rolls under the wrestling ring that's there. Matt Hardy has, the firecracker, and he's holding it, like a shotgun, and he's like, you can't hide forever, Samael. And of course, the Hurt Glove comes out from under the ring and grabs, the firecracker and just crushes it with his hands. And finally, we see the first appearance of the Fiend. He gets up and he hits the mandible claw onto Matt Hardy, and they teleport to the Firefly Funhouse. There we have like the match with Cena. We have a dissection of Matt Hardy's entire career. So we see him cycle through the Hardy Boy, the Broken Matt Hardy, Big Money Matt, V1. Even the part where him and Jeff were kind of just being like the little flag bearers for the King of the Ring. Then Matt Hardy does something, teleports them back to the compound. Obviously the Fiend has changed back to Windham again. So basically Windham becomes the Fiend in the Funhouse segments and becomes Windham during the compound segments. So, but they keep teleporting between both of these environments, but so much so that the magic of the Funhouse and the magic of the compound are now trying to fight each other to coexist, and it becomes this crazy, warped kind of a place. It's like you can see that it's a terrible amalgamation of the Hardy compound and the Firefly Funhouse. Finally, in the middle of the ring, in this crazy warped area, the Fiend hits one final Sister Abigail and Mandible Claw to win the match. So the Fiend / Windham win the Firefly Deletion. And because of this, Matt Hardy does disappear for a while, and the Fiend, of course, is left alone in the ring in that crazy setting. And it definitely kind of, is the other side of the coin, because remember in the Ultimate Deletion, Matt Hardy won that match. So now, this is kind of like just desserts. I think that, it could be entertaining. I think it could be really, really fun. But from here on out, the Fiend just needs to go and have amazing feuds. I think that was the biggest problem, because I think the Fiend does not really need to be in the AEW title picture or even the TNT title picture. I think that Windham and the Fiend just need to be in feuds where they're allowed to tell good stories. So this is just the introductory feud for Windham, but I do have some other ideas for different feuds. Obviously, the big one, Malachi Black. I mean, see, Malachi Black is kind of almost a polar opposite of the Fiend, because you see, Malachi Black, he has the cool dark gimmick, but people like him because he is a great wrestler. People like Windham / the Fiend because he's a great character. But of course, Windham is good in the ring. Don't get me wrong. Like, for a man his size, Bray Wyatt / Windham is pretty agile. So he can definitely go and keep up with Malachi Black. But I think that would be a very interesting story to tell. Another feud that I would love to see is Darby Allin. That would be really cool. I just want to see Darby Allin about to hit a coffin drop and the Fiend just pop up and snatch him from the air and hit a mandible claw onto Darby Allin. And then after that, we can even have Sting get in and whack the Fiend with the baseball bat. And the Fiend just kind of gets up, tries to go for Sister Abby, but then Sting can turn that into a Scorpion death drop. We can have Sting versus the Fiend. Cinematic match, of course. I don't want Sting to hurt himself too much if he's going to be wrestling by himself. Another feud that I think would be cool would be Lance Archer, because Lance Archer says everybody dies, and the Fiend is the literal embodiment of that phrase. And then, now that, of course, he's been released from his WWE contract as well, and his 90-day no-compete clause will be over too, Killer Cross, I think, will be a very interesting feud for Windham Rotunda. On top of that, I think he can also visit his fellow ex-WWE foes like Jon Moxley, and even have another match with Bryan Danielson. I think we can definitely see that now, because he's faced Daniel Bryan before, but he has never faced Bryan Danielson. So I really would love to see that match. Those are just some ideas for feuds that I have for Windham after he's done with Broken Matt Hardy. So that's pretty much how I would book Windham Rotunda in AEW. I didn't really want to go too deep into it. I just wanted to book him entering AEW and then having his first introductory feud with Matt Hardy. Now, of course, if you disagree and you maybe want it to be the Dark Order, like, popular opinion, that's fine with me too. Just let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. How would you have done it? How would you book Windham Rotunda in AEW? Or if you want to see him in another promotion, let me know all that stuff in the comments below. Also, let me know what other storylines or characters you would like me to fantasy book. I have a few ideas still, but I will eventually run out of ideas. So, if you start giving me ideas now, I'll have some left, and I can take that into consideration going forward. But with that, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Don't forget to hit that bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. With that, thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. You guys are the best. This is Sid signing off. You guys take care. Bye-bye.